Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions. Like you, I want answers. There's more to this world than most think or believe. Mysteries that stretch back into murky epochs of time, that hint of other realms, other worlds, and other intelligences. We're on this journey together. With each episode, we'll peel away the layers to look for the truth. Across our planet, there are ruins of ancient underground constructions, many of which seem to have been carved with advanced precision and methods. Then there are the legends of subterranean civilizations that allegedly remain underground to this day. It is well known that there are many underground military bases in China, Russia, the United States, and many other nations, some of them featuring protective bunkers and sensitive areas of advanced scientific research. Then there are the mysterious cavern systems across the world, some of them steeped deeply in myth, lore, and legend. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone that the conversation always continues after the show on my Discord live chat server. Make sure to join me and over 900 other members if you haven't already. I will put the link in the chat window in just a moment. Now, while I do that, let's bring in my co host, Jimmy Church of Fade to Black Radio. Jimmy. Oh, nice. You got to incent the place before we get started with today's show. Respect. You ready for this? Today's going to be a really fun show. It's always something new with you, Jimmy.
How you doing?
I am doing so well.
How
are you doing?
For today's show, we got to get the incense going, right?
Always.
We've got to get the incense going, and Cristina knows about the day that I've had so far, and I am so excited to be here, and just in time. But here's the thing, and Cristina and I were talking earlier. This is like the best show ever, and I don't know how you do it every week. Hello, everybody, and so much so that I said to Cristina today. I'm driving. I said, so we're doing India part 2. She goes, we did that last week.
And I thought you were joking with me because you usually play those jokes. And I said, no, Jimmy.
I do. And I'm driving. I'm like, is Cristina right? Is she just messing with me? Did we do part 2? I thought we were doing part 2. It's because these shows are all great. And I was so excited about today's show. And the reason why I thought that, just to let everybody know, Cristina says, we're doing, underground stuff this week. And I said, I know. We've got to do India part 2, underground. She goes, oh, we did that last week.
Yeah, I was scratching my head and I'm thinking.
It was just so funny. Cristina and I argued for like 10 minutes today. And she thought I was messing with her. I thought she was messing with me. And then we figured it all out. Another great show today. And my comment to all of you, which includes Cristina earlier today, is that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of things that we could talk about that are underground. I mean, it's limitless. It's one of my favorite subjects. And all of us, everybody listening right now is into this. Now, I'm going to say this as a little comment. I have to get this out there. I have claustrophobia. I like panic attack claustrophobia. If I get into a situation where, wait a minute, holy crap, right? I'll hyperventilate. And so I enjoy the research of this and videos and people that go and investigate this stuff. But the underground idea kind of freaks me out. It really does. And how it's the edge of the unexplained, and to
And
take
that's the exciting
yeah,
part, Jimmy. All
you
of us.
take yourself to the edge. You challenge yourself with this, and that's what I do. I enjoy the excitement of it, and I'm just telling everybody, it puts me right on the uneasy edge.
Really? Well, we're gonna get into that because I want to mention that. But first off, Miss Valerie Young, hello. How are you doing? So happy you could make it to the live show. Sorry, Mrs. Please excuse me, not Miss. Mrs. Valerie Young. Hello. So let's get started. There is one that you had mentioned on the phone, and I was so taken aback by the story. I think we should start with that one that maybe not a lot of people know about. Usually, when you think of something, underground bases, you'll think of the Dulce base in New Mexico. You'll think of Mount Shasta, maybe even Superstition Mountain as well. But this one, the Los Angeles tunnels,
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
was like, no way.
it's big time stuff right there. And
Ah,
now you didn't. Okay, so I want to watch the chat as you mentioned this in the chat. Have you heard about the underground tunnels and the other possibilities beyond that into the paranormal, into the fringe, about the possibility of a civilization existing underneath Los Angeles and being discovered as they built the city at the turn of the century? Did you know about this? I just want to see this in the chat. Just a quick yes or no, because Cristina didn't, and I didn't either until I started to do my research into this. But Cristina, you did not,
that's right.
and obviously you wanted to lead off with this, so you did a little bit of research. What did you find out, and how blown was your mind? Right?
I was pretty shocked with this story. First, when you told me on the phone, I'm like, there's no way. There can't be anything documented on this. It's too crazy of a story. But in the 1930s, the media got hold of this story. They blew it up. It went viral for that time period. And then the story quickly died out. Where there was a man by the name of G. Warren Schofelt, who had this very unique device that he created, which utilized radio frequencies to detect buried materials. So, through electrical signal scans, he could unveil these abnormalities deep within the earth. So by the summer of 1933, his machine revealed an unusual structure beneath the public library in Los Angeles, California. And he uncovered an expansive labyrinth of tunnels weaving miles below the surface. And he spent months investigating this type of underground village tunnel thing, and he created a very detailed map and layout. And what he found was that this tunnel structure was almost shaped like a lizard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And as crazy as this is sounding to everybody, listen, and I almost don't like it when somebody says, go do your own research. Well, in this case, you need to do this just to understand that Cristina and I are not crazy. This is a nuts thing to suggest. It's all true. The maps are there. And I think underneath Los Angeles now, man-made tunnels. Okay, let me back up to what Cristina was saying. She mentioned 1930. So at this time, Los Angeles are people's catacomb. There it is,
This
right?
is the real newspaper back from the 1930s.
That's the LA Times. And so what was happening back then is Los Angeles itself was being established as a city. There was lots of construction going on. There were considerations of a subway system, above ground trains, a trolley system, how to interconnect everything. Roads had to be built. But Infrastructure, water had to be brought in. The movie Chinatown explains that really well. And because Los Angeles at that time was a desert, and all of this infrastructure had to happen. So while they are doing this construction in Los Angeles, this underground existing tunnel system was discovered. Also at that time were the plans for other tunnels to be dug. Today, currently in Los Angeles, there are, I have read, anywhere between 10, 11, 12 miles to 30 miles of tunnels that are under Los Angeles that connect all kinds of things. And an example of that, and then we'll move on, is the Freemason Temple in Hollywood, which is where Jimmy Kimmel broadcasts right now. Is that the Tonight Show or Jimmy Kimmel Live, whatever his show is? I used to work there. And that complex is the Freemason building, and it's gorgeous, right, with all the Egyptian stuff, and you see that on Jimmy Kimmel. But it connects to homes in Beverly Hills with underground tunnels. It connects to other complexes in downtown LA, and the rumors were different members of society could arrive for secret meetings for stuff and not be seen from above ground by the public. That's just one little example. LA itself has a massive tunnel complex underneath it, and a lot of it you can still access today. Most people don't know about it, and it's been sealed off and shut down at both ends. Underneath Los Angeles, Christina.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that, but something that I do want to mention is in this title right here, it says lizard peoples, and that just totally ruined it. This very fascinating story, and then they peoples going on right here. Like come on. I mean, it's just.
Does that stand out to you? It does, doesn't it? No, it's Piopolis.
Practically. That's practically correct. And my brain was just saying, okay, I'm going to say it correctly, but just the spelling is so wrong.
Maybe
and
that's
it was
the
probably
name.
brushed off by so many people, or maybe that was intentional to bring a topic like this and to ridicule it as well.
Well, maybe that was the name of the lizard culture. They were called the Piolpes of ancient culture. Okay, I kid, but this was a big deal, and he created the maps, and there were a large number of people here in Los Angeles that were going underground and looking for these tunnels, finding these tunnels, and looking for those lizard Piolpes.
Yeah, seems like it. Well, while
Go back to
this
that article. Go back to that for a second.
absolutely,
And
I will go back there. Here it is.
And just forever, bring it back. Okay. Busy Los Angeles, although little realizing it took. Okay, now I can't read it. I thought that I could. It's too blurry. But this details the streets, the borders of where this is at geographically, how they were found, and where the entrances are. Do you have a picture of the map?
I don't, but I have a picture of the person that found this. Here he is.
Engineer Links Shaft. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Yep.
And that's his machine that was able to find these really bizarre tunnels. Well, what I wanted to get at was after he kind of began to find these types of tunnels, He speaks to an indigenous medicine man by the name of Chief Little Greenleaf. And then the two discussed Hopi legends. So, according to Little Greenleaf, thousands of years ago, there once lived a race of people descending from the Mayans he called the lizard people because they supposedly worshiped the lizard as a symbol of long life, who lived all along the Pacific coast. This lost civilization was apparently extremely technologically and intellectually advanced far beyond their time, with all manner of wondrous inventions and machines, and just a ton of gold as well. But there was this enormous meteor shower that fell 5,000 years ago to nearly wipe them all out. And that's why they allegedly are underground now. And so when the chief had told Warren this story, he was like, "You won't believe what I found." And so then he goes into detail and he explains, not only did I find these tunnels, but he also found mysterious relics containing like detailed records, which Chief Little Greenleaf thinks that these records were about humankind's true origins. It was pretty spectacular, and these were like massive golden tablets.
Okay, I think I have. Let me see here. Hold on. Just stay with me for a second. No, 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 no. Okay, let me pull this up. I have ta, 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 ta. I have an image here. And let's pull this up. Christina, I'll give you the secret. I'll give you the secret Masonic hand signal.
Okay.
Okay, so just stay put, everybody. This is the deal. This is so cool. Okay, when I first saw this, and when you go and investigate this entire story, and then you see, oh, I didn't do the hand signal. Can't do that. This is the map that was published in the 1930s in Los Angeles magazine. And here it is. Right. So, and just check this out. So here's now, by the way, they have been accessed. All right. Many people went down and looked at all of this. But this is, look, he's got gold, dry water, more gold over here. He's got an entrance here in room where there's a room 30 by 42 feet, and there's the shaft that went down and started to access these tunnels. But here you go. Here is the map. This is Broadway Street and Fort Moore Place, where they intersect above ground. Everybody knows Broadway in downtown Los Angeles. And there you go. Key room, right? It's just an incredible story, Christina. Oh, did I lose Christina?
No, it definitely is. I have an eyelash in my eye, so I'm taking out my contacts and putting in my glasses because I can't even like read my screen at all. So, um, when we're looking at this story, what's very interesting about this, and I only have one contact, so I have to like close half my eye to read my notes. But what's interesting about this is that on March 5th, 1934, the project was put on, like it stopped. There was no more funding coming through because when they had done extensive drilling, they just came across mud and water, and that was about it. So people that were invested in this story, because once again media got a hold of this, when they weren't getting enough results, the funding stopped and the whole project just ended. So then from there, Warren became once again a nobody, and 20 years later he died a poor, broke man. It's a pretty spectacular, well, not spectacular, it's a pretty sad story. But what I wonder though is hold on, let me fix this. Jeez, I only have one contact in. haven't even finished. But what I wonder though is have these have these tunnels survived um in such an intensely somatic active sorry seismatic active zone? I mean, if they are very old, how did they survive the earthquakes? And were they closed up because of the worry of collapse? These are the
Yeah,
kinds of questions I have.
yeah. There was I'm going to go back maybe about 10 years ago on public television. They have they ran a TV series as Cristina is fixing her eyes. I'll go big screen out there. Yeah. Are you
I don't
okay?
wanna take out my contacts on camera, it's kinda gross.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kinda it freaks some people out, so I don't wanna do that to anybody.
Eh. Anyway, they had this series on PBS, The History of Los Angeles, and it was incredible. Um, all archival footage and so well put together. And they went decade by decade by decade. They had a full show on the lizard people and the tunnels underneath Los Angeles. So yes, I believe that some were accessed, some were found, and to this day, there are historians and researchers that are still into this subject, and they go down there all the time. Underneath Los Angeles, I watched myself personally uh, uh, somebody go over, access a door in a Los Angeles County building, go downstairs, go through a door, go through another door, open up into this tunnel that is right there, and it's ginormous. And some of them are still full of train cars. But anyway, so going down and then heading out off of this tunnel into what may have been the lizard people tunnels. These are unfinished, strange looking long tunnels that zigzag underneath Los Angeles. There's a lot of people that go down and still pursue this today.
Interesting. No, see, that part I wasn't aware of, but there's another odd location in the United States, and that's in the very famous, very beautiful Grand Canyon.
Hmm.
This one's also a very interesting story, and for the most part, it's merely alleged. But Sever, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen here of the Grand Canyon. Beautiful place. The pictures are absolutely stunning. Let me share this. But Jimmy, but while I'm sharing my screen, what am I talking about?
This
For
is
those that don't know.
this is one of my favorite stories
Is it?
when dealing with the history of the United States. And over the weekend, I flew over the Grand Canyon twice, and I'm taking pictures out of the plane window and wondering about this story. And I'm always looking. And I just had about 5 years ago, a group of my friends went down on in an expedition to go and find the entrance to this cave, which is allegedly Egyptian. Now, when we use the word allegedly here, this is not this is supported by the media because in 1909, the Phoenix Gazette published not one, two stories about this, about the discovery of this great underground citadel slash city that was that's hidden, and it is entered. You enter into this underground city via a cave entrance in the Grand Canyon. Now, here's the deal. Now, so that was 1909.
Right.
The other parts to this story in these articles, and you can read the articles for yourself. Um, there was some wackiness afoot with the Smithsonian, once again out of Washington D.C. But today, the actual entrance to the cave has been kept from the public, and that there are sections of the Grand Canyon that are restricted. You cannot go into. And so is it because of this? Are they hiding the entrance to the cave? Is it possible today with drones and stuff to go in and scan the walls of the Grand Canyon to find this? I think that there are a lot of researchers out there that are pursuing this and have pursued that aspect. But to that end, Christina, the articles state that the underground city was Egyptian, that it was full of all things Egyptian. You had a sarcophagus, you had mummies, you had statues, you had hieroglyphics on the walls, you had uncountable amounts of things that would be called treasure and artifacts, and that this was a place where people lived and went through daily life, and all of this was there and represented. So the discovery is made, and the Smithsonian, and the article is written. Smithsonian comes out and says, "Well, in the interest of national security, right? this is ours." And they went in and emptied the citadel, their words, of everything, and removed it and sealed off the cave, and that was the end of the story. Again, 2 articles, 1909, the Phoenix Gazette. You can still read those online. An extraordinary, something that would completely change history. That ancient Egypt was able to travel to the Americas, something that's been rumored, right? We've all been talking about that for a very long time, but this was proof of that. There's evidence of this going down in Australia. And again, there wasn't supposed to be transoceanic cultures at this time, but not only were there transoceanic cultures and they were from Egypt, but they made it all the way through North America to the Grand Canyon and established a settlement.
It's a pretty bizarre story, and this was the first time I came across it, and I was so shocked to think, no one's talking about this, alleged or not. It's a fun story in such a very famous location. Everybody talks about the Grand Canyon and the beauty and the Native American legends attached to it, which I do have one for you. But no one talks about this. And I'm like, what? First off, Pete, hey there, buddy. So good to see you. People, check out his channel. He is
Pete, how you doing,
all
Pete?
about stuff like this. So go subscribe. Cecile, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you so much. And Nature Cam HD, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. She writes, a contribution for your RV ramen mobile. Cristina, please ask Jimmy to say go Beckley Tabby. Nobody in broadcasting says it quite like him. It would make my week.
Go back, Lee Tappy. There you go. Let me. This is just to give everybody a little taste of what was going on, and in the Phoenix Gazette. Hold on here for a second. Okay. You ready, Christina? You have to wait until I give you the secret signal. Okay, don't jump the gun here. You're
Okay,
not allowed to. You're not allowed to jump the gun. Okay, are we cool?
Yeah.
This. Oh man, I'm shorting out.
What is that about?
Am I shorting out there?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a weird thing that's happening.
That is bizarre.
Check.
No, it's pretty bad, actually.
Check.
There we go.
Okay,
That's
there
good.
we go. Oh man,
no. Nope, now it's bad.
Check.
No, man, is everything plugged in?
Check. I don't know what's going on. It's like check.
There we go.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I'm running my faders. Literally. Okay, I think we got it. Okay.
All right.
Sorry
I'm
about
ready for
that,
the cue.
everybody. Okay, Christina. Check it out. This is from the 1909 Phoenix Gazette. Explorations in Grand Canyon, mysteries of immense rich cavern being brought to light. And Jordan is enthused. Remarkable finds indicate ancient people migrated from the Orient. And then here you go. Here's the article itself. I'm not going to read that. There's two, but you can go and read this. It's very detailed. This is just a piece of it. It's a full page, and like I said, one of two articles, and you can go and read this for yourself. And this is what was, how do I say it? A journalist researched this and brought this story out to the public, and the references to the Smithsonian Institution. Today, that Smithsonian conspiracy is, but this was back then when the Smithsonian was just founded. It's a different situation here. And so you have to read the article. It's very interesting.
It is. And when reporters approached the Smithsonian stating, look, archaeologists have stated that you gave them funding to look for this practically hidden, unknown Egyptian type civilization that the archaeologists believe could hold at least 50,000 people. That's a lot of people going on right there. And what did these Smithsonian say? They were like, nope, don't know anything about it. That's not even a thing. We're not a part of any of that. And that isn't the first time, as you had mentioned, Jimmy, that the Smithsonian has said something like that, where they fund somebody. The reporters speak to the Smithsonian and they say, nope, that's not true. That didn't happen. And it makes you question, who do you believe? And in this field, we're always playing that game. What's disinformation? What's fact? Who do you listen to? How do you find your information? How do you fact check when some of the really big people, some of the really big corporations and museums will say one thing and you hear another? Who do you believe? And I think that's probably the hardest part in this field. Gonzo, thank you so much for the super sticker.
I totally believe that.
Oh, it's shorting out a little bit again.
Okay, go big screen. Look, I've got my...
What is it?
Switch cleaner.
Oh, nice. You're going to do that now?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wait, you want to listen to me, right? Okay, you go ahead.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. Cristina, do you imagine that somewhere there are warehouses full of Smithsonian stuff?
I'd like to work and see all that, like work for them and see all that stuff. That'd be amazing. There is one thing that I do want to mention. According to one Hopi Indian legend, their ancestors once lived underground in the Grand Canyon until the people of One Heart and the people of Two Hearts began to fight. The chief of the One Heart people caused a tree to grow and pierce the roof of the cavern. The One Heart people sent a message to the Temple of the Sun asking for a blessing of peace, goodwill, and rain, but the messenger never returned. The legend says that the messenger will return someday and the Hopi ancestral lands and dwellings will be returned to them. It's listening to legends and lore, and I've said this so many times, it's just something that fascinates me, that I want to read as much as I can on it, because there are so many people that believe that stories like these, those that have been passed down every single generation, think that there is a little bit of truth in them. And if that is the case or not, there's such an amazing thing to listen to and to be absorbed in, because you're able to understand their culture. And this is consistent across the entire globe. Every single culture has their own myths and their own legends. And I wish that it was taught in school as a mandatory class. Instead, it's an elective if you're lucky.
That's right. Oh man, I thought that the spray. Okay, see, now it's working. I think we're fine. We hear these stories over and over again about discoveries being made and stuff that comes out of the ground. And I swear, maybe this might be this. Hold on. Check.
No, it's still so bad.
Yeah, it might be my compressors. Oh, man. Hold on. Okay, I can't. Check. It might be my compressors.
Well, while you fix that, what you had mentioned at the very beginning when we were talking about this alleged Egyptian city in the Grand Canyon is that it is now off limits. The public cannot reach it because it is, quote, on government land.
Right.
And I think that just adds fuel to the fire, in my opinion. It's like, no, there's nothing going on here. We're going to make sure that everyone denies the situation, but also you're not allowed to even investigate. It's government land. It is forbidden.
And you can't do anything about it.
No, but it makes you want to jump the fence.
Well, what do you
check it out?
Are you going to follow the Smithsonian trucks, the Smithsonian trains, to wherever they're going back to Washington, D.C. and see what warehouse that they're unloading everything into? Are you forced into doing something like that? And as crazy as that sounds, what are you going to do in 1909? You can't do that.
No, it's a different time.
And so away it goes. These Egyptian artifacts and the entire story gets squashed, and it did, Cristina. I mean, the story absolutely went nowhere. You would think if it was a hoax, if it was made up, then that's probably just as big a story as the Egyptians being here, right? Where somebody gets busted, and this is what happened. It was made up, and this is, and there's going to be follow up to it. No, the story itself died. It just went away.
And that's a consistent theme across the stories that we have been and that we will cover today, but also a bunch of the mysterious things that are happening on this planet. The media hits it and then they quit it real fast. And quit.
Yeah, that's right. And what about something like Mel's Hole? What do you do where you have a story like that was broadcast out to 20 million people,
right, on Coast to Coast AM
with Art Bell, and now you have a basic geographic location. You have the story. It's right there, and this goes out. Right? Is it possible? Okay, so a little footnote: Mel's Hole went allegedly infinite, right, to the center of the earth. Okay, here's a trivia question for you. We've all talked about digging a hole to China, right? Okay. Here's the trivia question. Cristina, you cannot look this up. Okay. And nobody in the chat room, don't Google this. Just give me your answer.
Okay, my hands are here.
What country can you dig a hole to China from? There's only one.
China?
No. What country can you technically dig a hole to China if you went straight down? Let's see. So, come on, give me a guess.
All right. Let me think about it. I'm going to give you an educational guess.
Okay.
I just want to spitball. Costa Rica?
Somebody just said Australia, China, Taiwan. Nope. Mel's Hole. Creepy little book. Texas, no. Hides in long grass is kind of close.
Oh, okay.
He said Mexico, but he's not. But at least it's a better.
Argentina?
Who said that?
I did.
You're right.
Yes. Third time's a charm.
Argentina. You Googled it. I saw your hands.
I did not Google it. I was looking at the chats here.
So Argentina. Okay, so back to Mel's Hole. I haven't done recent research on this. What's the current status of the myth behind Mel's Hole? And I love the picture, by the way.
Well, um, it's an alleged story. It's actually been brushed off for the most part. But when the story first came out, it was a pretty big deal, right? It hit coast to coast AM. People were eating up this story, and then it died down as, if anything, just a crazy story, and that was it. But to go back to your statement about digging to China, I'm gonna touch on one thing. Okay, so all of the all of this is crazy because if that hole hit the mantle, for example, Mel's hole, it would be erupting lava. If it was so deep, okay, as Mel Waters explains, heat would be rising up from it, smoke or like literal lava erupting. But that's not the case with this story. And I think that's why so many people found it incredibly interesting because it seems like there were even mystical powers attached to this hole, and this picture just makes it look so bland, so boring, but the stories attached are almost, if they're not believable. They're crazy.
Is this picture of the actual Mel's Hole or the purported Mel's Hole?
The purported Mel's hole.
Yeah, because I don't think they ever found it.
No, Mel Waters never gave the location of the hole other than that it is in Washington state. And many people tried to push him in other interviews, stating, look, where is this hole? And he wouldn't tell anyone. The locals, apparently, allegedly, based off of Mel Waters' story, know where this hole is. And it's also been classified as the Devil's Hole. And what's really interesting about this to the locals is that when they bring their dogs along, their dogs don't want to get anywhere near this hole. So when Mel ran a test and he told Coast to Coast AM that he attempted to bring his dog close to it, the dog was literally putting his paws into the ground, stating, look, I'm not going to get any closer. I feel danger. I am scared. But here's the crazy thing. There have been stories where Mel Waters threw in a dead dog into the hole along with some of his local people in the area. And a few moments later, their dead dog would now be running in the forest alive.
Yeah, floated back up. Well, there was
Yeah.
also, and so I can't remember the town that was near there, but people converged, and when they started to talk to the people that were there, nobody knew what anybody was talking about. That there was no hole. Mel stated, "Man, everybody comes out. We push in washing machines." You know, we're throwing in refrigerators, all of our garbage, we throw it down and it never hits the bottom. And
Endless pit.
everybody knows, and we all have whole parties and we line up and we're dropping stuff off. And nobody knew any of this because people hearing this story on our bell, they want to go and see Mel's Hole. I did. I wanted to go check it out. But none of the locals, anybody around there knew nothing about this. And then Mel stated that after I don't know if it was after Art Bell, but anyway, he shows up on his property and the DEA is there and all of these special agents, and that's the Drug Enforcement Administration, and claiming that they were seizing the land and seizing the hole because Mel or somebody there was, built a meth lab, or
Well,
something.
see, and that's very interesting that the DEA came instead of maybe the FBI or the CIA. And what comes to mind, going back to the concept of the dogs not wanting to get close to the hole, is that it could be because of natural gases outgassing, or if it's deep enough, sulfur gas could be coming out. So any animal will detect and stay away from sulfur dioxide, even in small amounts. And so you don't want to be perched on the edge looking down, right? And coming under the influence of gases coming up. And so what you had just mentioned, I feel like there is some type of connect there.
When you have glasses on and you're holding a pen, you're really smart. You're making really good points. You need to do the glasses and hold the pen, and your points are because yes, and so when you say why the DEA is the perfect cover, right? Make this a criminal situation, make
Right.
this a meth lab, right? And that's it. And they seize the land, they seize the property. That's what they do. And I believe Mel said that he wasn't allowed back on the property after that. He turned his car around and never went back. I believe. We're going back 25 years here, but for me,
Right.
I heard it all live on the air.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Oh man, are you kidding me? There was 25 million people in the United States going, "What?" Yeah, it was just amazing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. How the story broke, and then we're going to move on. We have some other stuff. How this happened? Are you ready, Christina?
I'm ready.
Mel was just a caller. Yeah. All right, west of the Rockies. This is Coast to Coast AM. Hey, Art. My name's Mel, and I got a hole on my property. It's kind of like that. It started out, and Art kept him on the show for 4 hours. Yeah, and then brought him back the next night, and I think 3 nights in a row. Everybody was it 4? Art brought Mel back, and he continued on with telling his stories about the hole. But he was just a caller. He wasn't a guest on the show.
And when Mel had run tests on attempting to see how deep it was, he believed it could have been about 80,000 feet down.
Yeah,
This hole.
he told Art that he had a fishing rod and he
Right.
had piles of fishing line, and he put a weight on one end and would just let it go, and then change reels and tie the fishing line together, and he emptied this down. Yeah, I think that was the number 80,000 feet, which is how many? What's 80,000 divided by 5,000? What is that? 9 miles? 8 miles? 10 miles? How many miles? Hold on. See, there's a new thing on my cell phone. It's called a calculator.
Oh,
It's
wow.
amazing. It does the math for you.
I think it's 16 miles.
Is it 80,000 divided by 5,000?
I'll do it like this. It's 16 miles.
Yeah. See, it works. These things, this calculator deal,
Pretty cool stuff.
yeah, it's amazing.
Forget the abacus. Just do it on your phone.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I don't have to use the abacus anymore.
Makes it so much easier.
16 miles deep. Now, let's go back to your point, and then let's move on. I want to get to some goblins.
Puck wedgies.
Miles deep. I think at 1 mile at 5,000 feet, the temperature is up to like 200 degrees. And as you go further down, it's hotter and hotter and hotter as you know what I mean? 16 miles, you're like in molten lava, right? I can imagine. So there was no fishing line that survived. It would have melted, right?
Well, and also the mantle is on average 62 miles down.
But who cares about the facts? I just
do.
want a good story. No.
Well,
No,
then I have a good story for you, Jimmy, about Mel's hole before we continue. So you mentioned about the temperature.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So Mel did another test and he put a sheep into the hole. Here's the crazy part about this story. Okay. When he put this sheep down, he was putting it slowly down into the hole. When he pulled it back up, it seemed cooked from the inside.
Wow. Is that lamb chops? Oh, I just had to do it. I had to do it. Somebody had to you know,
Oh, jeez.
somebody had to do it. I mean, what mint sauce, mint jelly on the lamb chops? So I didn't hear that one. I didn't. Okay, all right. Why? Who would do that to a nice baby lamb? I don't know. Tender though.
For science.
Tender, cooked from the inside. Tasty.
On to our next one. Jimmy, where do you want to take this?
I want to go goblins in Germany.
Okay.
Can we go goblins in Germany?
Oh, we can. Anything to do with goblins and puckwedgies, I'm in. But there are no puckwedgies in this story. But that's okay. Goblins are puckwedgies. All right, I'm sharing my screen here to show one picture of what the Germans would classify as goblin holes. And what's really odd about this, and this is consistent in other countries in Europe, people have found miles and miles of tunnels. But what's so weird about these tunnels in particular is that they're very small. You have to be on all fours. In some locations, you have to be kind of hunched back. And even this little boy has to fit through this very small hole right here. And it goes to show, well, no, it doesn't go to show. It makes people ask questions. What the heck is the point of these tunnels? They weren't necessarily they weren't hideouts. They weren't to place food. They weren't for placing weapons, for instance, because they're just too small for your average adult. It doesn't make sense. And this is why people have been scratching their heads when they come across these tunnels, not just in Germany, but also in Austria and Spain as well, where you just have these super duper long tunnels. And there have been some locations that have been found that go in. Excuse me. The entrances are from the forest, sometimes from a farm like underground. The barn,
not in a city.
and no, these are in rural areas, but there is no exit. So you have all these entrances, but there's no exit, and that's probably the craziest thing about this, is because if you know where people are entering, quote, people, right? These are tiny. There's no way people could fit through this. But let's just say people. If you close all the entrances, you're going to block all the oxygen and you're going to kill them.
I call this a Gomez tunnel. You could walk upright. You could just stroll right through there. See, for me,
Jimmy, what are you trying to say?
I would struggle with it. I would struggle. So, but it's such, you don't, unless you're digging out of a prison, where the size of the tunnel doesn't matter, and you don't mind crawling on your belly for a mile, to get outside of the prison walls. That's one thing. But if you're doing something that you're going to access all the time, you're not going to crawl through that on your belly. You're going to dig something that you can walk through.
Exactly.
It's that simple. So who dug these tunnels? Shore people. Goblins. That makes sense to me. Yes. Yeah.
And John brings up, could these be lava tubes? No, merely because it has been proven that they have been excavated with tools.
Yes.
And also there have been relics found of tools that date back to at least the 10th to the 13th century, while one Austrian archaeologist believes that it goes back even further than that. So no one has the definite answer of when these were created, but more importantly, why these were created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why it's so fascinating.
Yeah, especially being in such rural areas. You hear about these exact, the goblin tunnels, the shore people tunnels. You hear about this in every country in the world. They're there. And again, just fascinating. And before we move on, hasn't every culture talked about shore people?
Yes.
Right? Every culture. And I love the fact that in the Pacific Rim near the Philippines. There's an island there where the indigenous culture were hobbits. They call them hobbit people. That they were 3 feet tall, and that's the end of the story. So, okay, does this make sense? So when you go back throughout history with leprechauns and goblins and and these stories, this myth, this folklore, I think that there is a huge foundation of truth to this. Right now,
Right.
so the Philippines, that proves something, that we did have a species of human that had hair on their feet and were called hobbits. That's a joke. But they were short in stature, 3 feet tall. Why not this species of humans, worldwide?
And we can also look at Mexico as well.
Or were they aliens? Right? Little grays. I'm just saying.
Or hybrids.
It's part of the conversation that has been going on for a very, very long time. I've never felt that it was made up. I just no.
No, goblins are too consistent across the globe, where it's in every single culture in one story at least, where their ancestors had been visited by goblins, they interacted with them in some way. They're either vicious, most of them are in these legends, but in some respects, such as in the Bridgewater Triangle, the Pukwudgies, they were once nice to the natives, and then something happened and they became evil. And
what about elves and gnomes?
Exactly.
I think it's all referencing the same thing. I believe in Iceland. Okay, somebody can look this up. Pop it into the chat for me. In Iceland, 99% of Icelanders believes that elves are real. They don't believe in elves, right? That they are real. Yeah. 99%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high stat.
It's a very high stat. And I'm just telling you right now. Okay. So what's next? What do you want to do next?
Should we take this to Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see here. What's our Canada?
So there is an iron.
Yes.
Okay. So there's an iron mine in Newfoundland, Canada. And this is somewhat consistent story when it comes to mines. They're haunted. They're very dark, scary places. There's a lot of death involved, a lot of injuries involved. But in this one in particular, locals at the time when this was first opened in 1895 and closed in 1996, locals in Newfoundland believed that inside the mine could have possibly been an alien base. Now, there's very little information on that, but there are more stories about hauntings that happen there. And one in particular is the woman in white. Also, a very consistent theme across the globe. It's always a woman in white that's very scary. We have La Llorona, we have this one, and the name escapes me of some other ones that we've covered here on the show. But what I found interesting about this story in particular, about the woman in white in an iron mine in Canada, is that women back then were considered to bring bad luck if they entered a mine or even walked on the mining site. It's a very old superstition and one that I wasn't familiar with. So the strange sightings and the strange experiences of the woman in white started in the 1940s. And so there was no running water for the men to kind of clean up their hands before they ate. They didn't really wash up during these times as well. It was just a very dark, a very dangerous place to work in. And during the 1940s onward, when they were eating, they discovered just this very scary ghost, this female ghost in white terrorizing them. And what happened was that years and years ago, they discovered a body of a young woman dressed in white. And then somehow she turned into a ghost. And we do need to keep in mind that when it comes to mines during the 1800s into the early 1900s, there was always a lot of legends and myths attached to these, mainly because these people were first off inhaling very toxic dust, sometimes even chemicals as well, and that can mess up your cognitive abilities to where you can't imagine things. However, in some other respects, they really did encounter things that they simply couldn't explain, have it be ghosts, have it be cryptids, or maybe even aliens. So this is a very consistent theme across old mines, but this one in particular, people also believe that it was or it is an alien base as well.
When you look at the images of Wabana, which is the mine, the iron mine that one of them underneath Wabana that Christina's talking about in Newfoundland, you look at these images, and if that isn't a haunted alien base, then they don't exist. They don't exist. Here is, I'll give you the secret. I'll give you the secret signal here in just a second.
Okay.
And everybody just check this out. If this isn't, oh come on, okay, this image isn't going to show.
Oh man, is it like a?
Let me try this one. I'm sorry, everybody. I wasn't prepared, but I'm just going to do this really quick and pull this up for you. But check this out. I have certain rules in my life, right? And one of them is you're not supposed to go in there. And when I have that thought, right, out of the gate, you just don't go in there. Right? Now, this is haunted. There's nothing fun there. You don't go in there. There's going to be a lady in white and an alien at the other end of that tunnel. Isn't that crazy?
Well, see, with that story, wouldn't it make you want to go in?
Yeah, like I said, I just have an unwritten rule. You know, you don't go into a graveyard at night by yourself. You just don't do it. You know,
Okay, valid. Don't do anything by yourself.
Certain things that you just don't do. And I, you know, and so a tunnel like that. Also, at the entrance of this, on the inside of some of the other images of Wabana, underneath Wabana, they had tragic mining accidents down there. There's a lot of death. And on the walls, some of this is pretty refined. It's all rusted out and, but you know, concrete arch roofs and stuff, but looks completely haunted and things. Anyway, they painted crosses on the walls down there. So you're walking, and I've looked at tons of images of this. I've looked into this over the years, and an excellent video, by the way, of ghost hunters going down there, and there's crosses. Somebody died at that location in the tunnel. You know what I mean? And there's a cross painted on the wall. What are you doing? Don't go down there. You just don't do it. I wouldn't. And claustrophobia comes into play too.
Yeah, that one is valid. And I have one claustrophobic story. I went camping in the winter once, and I had this really like ginormous sleeping bag full of, I think, duck feathers or something. And it was the middle of the night, and I couldn't breathe because I was like so deep into my little, what are they called? Sleeping bags. And then I couldn't find the zipper, and I start panicking, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm claustrophobic. I've never been claustrophobic in my life until that exact moment. Luckily, there was someone there, and they unzipped the sleeping bag. And that was better. But there was panic. There was like genuine fear that I could have never imagined.
And that's how it goes down right there. And okay, so let me I'm gonna do something really quick. I'm gonna see if I can get this to happen. So just everybody stay with me and I'll give you a special treat here. So I'm out kind of like what you're doing. I'm with some friends. And did I do this right? I can't see. Okay. I'm with some friends and no, this is not going to open. Is this going to open? No, it's not going to open. Okay. And we're cliff diving, and this is in Pasadena.
Cliff
And
diving.
yeah. We're up in Eaton Canyon. And there's a place up there. It's Chantry Flats, to be honest, the exact location. And there's this waterfall, and you can go up, and there's a couple of levels of things, and you can. But at the top, probably 60 feet, you could cliff dive down. There was a mid-level one, like 20 feet. But to go from like 20 feet to the 60-foot level, there's a cave. Right now, all of my friends, I'm watching from down below. I'm 20, 21, right? I'm watching all my friends jump off of the 60. It was 6 stories, right? Amazing. And I'm watching them pop up, and I'm like, man, I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm cool. I'm going to go do this. So I climb up, and I'm watching everybody, and the hole is like that big, right? And I'm watching all of my friends go in and shimmy up and then pop up like 40 feet. And I go down, and I'm looking up, and I can't see sunlight. So it's turning a little bit.
Jeez.
I'm like, man, I don't know about this. So okay, all right. So I crawl into the hole, Cristina, and I'm going up, and it's getting dark, and all of a sudden I went, ha, ha. I'm like, back up. What do you mean? There's people below me. Out. I'm out. Everybody back up. Everybody had to back up. Man, I got out of there. I was like, yeah, I panicked. I didn't realize I was claustrophobic until that moment.
Until that moment, it sucks.
Jimmy's coming down. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was not cool. And what a way to find out too, right?
Yeah, the hard way.
So anyway, okay, where are we at? I'm sorry, I tried to post some pictures. Man, it's a copyright thing. You can't copy and paste and post. And I could share my screen. No, okay. You know what? Let me try this. Let me see if I can blow this up, and then I'll get away with a copyright. And let me see if I can do this. Hold on.
Okay.
And I blow this up. Okay, I got it. Cristina, I have it.
Okay.
Okay. See, I got this whole unlimited, you got to become a member thing. And okay, you know what? I don't care anymore. Let me share this.
Okay. I'm ready.
This is the cave. This is the actual page. Okay, so if I do this and I go to window, what actually shows, you know what? I don't care. All right, go ahead. There it is. So there's a cross.
Mm-hmm.
This is underneath. This is in Newfoundland. This is part of the mine system that I'm talking about. And look at this. Now, is that an alien underground haunted woman in white situation?
It looks spooky.
That's spooky. See the cross on the wall?
Yeah.
Right? There's another one there. There's probably, right? You just don't go down there. All right, let me pull this down. I don't want people to see my secret information. See, they can freeze the frame and go up and go, so Church is shopping for this. He's over here doing that.
Overall, miners are just so brave. They are superheroes. Like they're on the top.
You ever see Zoolander?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. I'm a merman. Okay, let's do. Yeah, we got time. Can we do? You want to do Oh, wait. I didn't know about this story until you told me. So
Okay.
I want to know Bigfoot living in tunnels. What's that all about?
Okay, let me get to my notes because it's in one book in particular where I found it. So, when one case is happened in the Cascade Mountains of Washington, and there is a very long abandoned train tunnel called the Cascade Tunnel.
Okay.
And there allegedly dwells a lurking beast with shining yellow eyes. And
Mm,
this is in the book Real Monsters, Gruesome Critters, and Beasts from the Dark Side. And we've used this book a few times, at least I have for these shows. And I'll place all of the links and all the books I use for all of the shows in the description box below. Okay. But in this story in particular, the author interviewed a man called Dave, and he tells a very frightening encounter within the tunnel. And the witness said that he had gone into the tunnel to investigate the reports and take some photos because he's heard stories of this huge type creature with yellow glowing eyes. And he said, I'm going to check this out. There's no way it can be real. I'm going to get proof. So, what does he do? He goes inside the tunnel. Bravery right there. And he said, when he was entering this tunnel, about 40 feet from him, he saw these huge, glowing yellow eyes. And he said that no normal animal's eyes could shine like that. And
mm-mm,
apparently, this creature was about 9 feet tall.
mm-mm,
Yeah,
mm-mm,
running the other way when there's very little light, when you're dealing with a creature that big with
mm-mm.
yellow glowing eyes. I mean, if it were red, it'd be so much scarier, but yellow is still pretty freaky. And that's just a very short story, but there have been other alleged encounters where people have entered usually abandoned tunnels, sometimes abandoned mines, and they'll come across these huge creatures, sometimes with glowing eyes, sometimes not. And some people would think that they are Bigfoot, as no other creature would go that deep into certain tunnels or certain mines. But what's very interesting about this story in particular, and to why some people might not think that what Dave encountered was a Bigfoot, is because that detail of the yellow growing eyes is a pretty remarkable one, as other people that have encountered Bigfoot, allegedly, they don't bring up the glowing yellow eyes. Sometimes it might be in different colors, but for the most part, that's not the case. So when I was looking at this story, while it is very short, it's one that I thought we should bring up because we're dealing with a type of cryptid. And where is the best place to hide, Jimmy?
A cave.
Underground.
Yeah,
Yes,
a
in
cave.
a cave, underground, in places where humans will not.
Well, it's just safe. It's just safe. When we look at Turkey, and you look at India, and where they have these massive underground cities that have been built, why do that? Well, why build a bomb shelter? Why have NORAD and command centers, deep underneath a mountain? Why would you have vaults, underground and inside of mountains and these giant storage complexes of which we have all across the United States? Why do it? Because it's safe and nothing can happen down there. The deeper that you go, the safer that it is, the more mountain and rock you have above you, right? Well, this is no secret to ancient civilizations. They understood that. So when you go and you look at some of these locations, there's three brilliant cities in Turkey, thousands of rooms with doors that you rolled carved stone circular doors that you rolled into place, and they're still there. The doors are there. Now, why would you have a door that is 2 feet thick, solid granite that you roll into place? Now, obviously, if something is going down, you're blocking out your family, right? You're going to roll that thing and you're going to cut it. That's one. Two, what is it back then, a couple of thousand years ago? What is it that you knew that you had to have something like this in place? Cataclysmic, cosmic disaster, flooding, I don't know, something electrical.
There's so many possibilities, even like what Hyde says, radiation as well.
Radiation that's what, some type of, when I said cosmic, EMF, what's the purpose of that? They had grain storage. People would have survived for years, if not decades, underground. And Turkey's not the only one, right? But this has been going on for a very long time. And Bigfoot, or a black bear for that matter, they know where to go and be safe. Right now, if you're Bigfoot and you're smart, you're Sasquatch, you've got a human brain inside of your head. This is home for you. Would you dig it further? Right? Maybe somebody showed it to you. Maybe there's an underground civilization that invited you in. We've heard stories about the inner earth, right? The indigenous cultures here in North America speak about the ant people living underground, right? In their own cities.
Right. And you also hear stories of allegedly reptilians having their own civilizations underground as well. It's another consistent theme that we see for people that have been researching the field or just having a fun time looking at myths and legends. Underground cities is nothing new. It's been taught for generations, usually relating to the First Nation tribes, but also in other parts of the world as well, in the more ancient countries, where they will tell stories to their children and then to their children's children and on and on and on.
Dulce, New Mexico is a perfect example of that.
Dulce, New Mexico is one that we've done an entire show on, but we can't avoid it for today's show. We have to talk about it.
You can't. Well, you're talking about indigenous cultures and history and tradition. Well, there's Dulce, New Mexico, the Archuleta Mesa. And I miss Clifford Mahudi so much. And him talking about this, and Noria Hayakawa and others, in that area that have talked about this. And of course, the famous case of Phil Schneider. And Paul Benowitz, again, I've heard his name so much in the last 24 hours now. Something special is underneath Dulce, New Mexico. I'm convinced of that. I just don't know what it is, but there's too much where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Does that come into play here? I believe so.
Let's talk about it for people that haven't watched the show that we did solely on the Dulce base, and we'll just kind of hit on the main points. There was a blueprint released by Thomas Castello, who was a guard for the base, and he also released 72 photos and 100 pages of work as well. And in this blueprint that he released, I'm going to share the screen here of a rendition of it. He said that there are 7 floors to this base, and where people and reptilians work hand in hand. Deranged Lunatic, thank you so much for the super sticker. So what's really bizarre about this story, and people might kind of throw this, or I guess sweep it under the rug in some respects, or throw it with the bathwater. What is interesting about this is that Native Americans in the area of Dulce, New Mexico, have seen very strange things. They've seen UFOs enter and exit the mesa. They have seen smoke coming out of the mountains, and there's no fire, Jimmy, as you had mentioned. Some have looked even a little bit closer and have stated, I feel like I've seen a vent in the mountain, but you're not able to get too close to it because it is allegedly surrounded by military officials. And in I believe it was the 90s into the early 2000s, it really caught interest of the public. Reporters went. We had Norio Hayakawa, who also did extensive research there. And sometimes some reporters were stopped to continue investigating while others weren't. But here there is one book called UFO: The Dulce Story, An Incredible Deception, written by Thomas Castello. Again, he was one of the guards for the base, along with Wendell Stevens. And they go into detail on the research that they found, and for Thomas, his own experiences. But soon after that, when Thomas did an interview in 2004, he mysteriously disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's those types of disappearances, or those types of alleged suicides as well.
Phil Schneider was suicided.
Exactly.
I don't think there's when you read the police report. Okay, so when you read the official police report of Phil Schneider's death, he was killed. There's no question about it. Okay, so everybody can go and check that out. Maybe we'll do a Phil Schneider full show on him one day. He deserves it. But here's the thing. This is what Phil says. He's an engineer. He's a structural engineer. He's contracted to the United States government. He did projects all around the world. And so they were drilling at Dulce, drilling down, and they hit a pocket. The stench came up, and how he describes it, it's foul, right? There's this smell. But they had breached the alien base, right? They drilled into a room, and I don't know what alien body odor smells like. That has been a bunch of aliens holed up for a couple of years in an enclosed room without adequate ventilation. I don't know what that smells like. But anyway, they didn't have a thunderstorm by Eden Pure. Is this wafted up, right? And they go down. I think Phil had a pistol. But they go down and check it out, and they drop in, and they surprise the aliens. What's going on? So that's the Phil Schneider. It's a very detailed story that he has told, and you can go and check it out. But is that a situation where our government knew about this in advance? Phil says no, that it was an accident. But was there an alien base in Dulce, New Mexico that our military knew about? Was there cooperation going there? I don't know. Phil does say that a gunfight breaks out, right, between, I think it was Marines, whatever, and ET, and many were killed on both sides, and there you go. But I think that there was something to it. And there's another part to this story, too, that I've always found interesting. Paul Benowitz, his introduction to Dulce was he was flying in an airplane over Dulce, and when he looked out the window and saw a flying saucer on the ground. And that's what sparked the interest there for him and Dulce, New Mexico. So it's another part of this, and also cattle mutilations and everything else that goes into the Dulce story. But I believe something is going on underground in Dulce.
It's very difficult to avoid that story when we talk about the mysteries happening underground. Once again, we did do an entire show solely on the mysteries of Dulce. I will place the link in the description box below for those that want to watch or listen to everything that we talked about, because there's so much to that story that you simply can't squeeze it in 5 minutes. You can't even squeeze it in an hour and a half. There's too much going on. There are too many facets to the story where you need weeks probably to do the research and to even speak about it as well. But while we're on the Dulce base, another thing that we've talked about in previous shows is about Mount Shasta. Now we only have a few minutes left, so we can touch on this.
It's the same story, Cristina. If you think about it, not the same story, but it's the same story, right? Where you've got a mountain, You've got underground tunnels. You've got so many encounters, like at Dulce, in and around Shasta, and this goes back a long time too, as well. About aliens living there. And then when you look at Shasta, now there's lava tubes. Jay Widener made a really cool movie about this too, as well. But you have the lava tubes and you have that part of Mount Shasta. But it's everything between Shasta and Mount Rainier up the coast, all of these volcanoes and mountains, all the way up to Washington, which is nothing but aliens, UFOs, and underground bases. That's it. That's where flying saucers started. And it's right there on the coast of the border of California and Oregon, which is Shasta, right in this area. The Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot, right? That film right there in this area, Shasta, and going all the way up the Pacific coast.
When you put those little pieces together, it makes you question, well, what's so important about that location right there? Northern California, a little bit of Oregon, a little bit of Washington. What is so special other than it's I mean, there are so many trees. It is so forested. It's unbelievable. But aside from that, you are so right. When you put those when you have a map out and you get all your push pins and you think of all the strangeness, a lot of it's happening right there.
Man, I got to do this. I just got to do this. I got to have my pen. I'm going to put on some glasses. Nice. Okay. So anyway, talking about, let's go back to Mount Shasta for a second. Can we?
We can. Please continue. Mr. Jimmy.
Man, my IQ went up like 45 points. Now I'm back to doofus. I did, you take those off. But here's the thing, though: story after story, encounter, portals, aliens, the lava tubes, entrances into Shasta, craft leaving and entering in and around Mount Shasta. Stories of people going up, skiers. Have nothing to do with the UFO community. Right, you're up there skiing with your buddies, and you're coming down the hill, and they encounter, some old man in the middle of nowhere, and they start talking to him, and he disappears, and he walks into a tunnel and is gone. Who is that guy? And if you are, if you're part of the community and you share these stories, that's one thing. If you're just a person vacationing and you're up and you're skiing and you come down, so how was your run? It was pretty good, except for, man, I met this family of aliens about halfway down. I got lost and they gave me directions, and then they just wandered off into the side of the mountain. Stories like this, Cristina, over and over again.
Yeah, there is.
Have you been to Shasta?
I have not.
You haven't?
But I would like to.
It's a pretty trippy place.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've seen photos. It's a stunning.
Yeah, it is. And the community around there, new agey crystals, UFOs, Bigfoot, they're all into it. And it's part of the mystique because everybody's got an open mind, so you can just go up there and do your own thing. But there is something majestic about all of those mountains up there. You just look at it and and then the other part is, and this is no joke, every one of those mountains, I'm pretty sure, I don't want to get too cocky with what I'm about to say, but I'm pretty sure that every one of those mountains, the base around it, sacred Indian reservation, right? Everyone. No, you can't go in there. That's the Yakima, reservation. You can't go there because that's the Utes. You can't go there because all the way up, it's very sacred land. It's very special. And you see these, these white snow-covered mountains coming out of the, the green forest, and they're just there. And then you take another look, and it's a volcano, right? And there's a lot of energy there. What's so funny now?
No, nothing's funny. I'm laughing because not laughing. I'm smiling because it sounds like such a beautiful place to visit. And as Hyde says, it's an RV stop for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
absolutely right.
Everyone. I've done the drive. It is an unbelievable drive. I've done it in the summer. I've done it in the winter. It doesn't matter. It's great. It's
Hopefully
amazing.
you had chains on your wheels.
Oh, they make sure you get up there and you can't go any further without chains. Cristina, thank you. What an amazing show. Perfect show. Thank you so much. And
Thank
what are we
you.
going to do next week?
Don't know yet.
Don't know. You going to let
But
me know
we'll
Thursday morning?
probably.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'll see you tonight on Fade to Black. It's Fader night. It's open lines. It's been an amazing week so far. And it's going to be some crazy talk tonight. Last night, Rick Doty, did you hear the news? Well, he said that he's got a list of people that have official government list with a code number on it and everything of everybody that has worked and been to Area 51. And he said he found two names on that list that we all know. One was Art Bell. Art Bell went to Area 51 in 1979. Yeah, and he's got the dates. Art Bell. That's Creighton. Art never talked about that. So there's that. And he also says Bob Lazar's name is on that list. Crazy, huh?
Very much so.
Yeah, here we go. All right, everybody. I'll see you tonight on Fade to Black. Thank you so much, Cristina. Behave and be well.
Bye, Jimmy. Thank you for everyone that watched this show live. What was your favorite story or favorite encounter that we spoke about today? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments. Because I think my favorite was the one that Jimmy brought to my attention, and that was the tunnel found under Los Angeles, the lizard people. That one blew my mind. I was like, I've never heard anything like this. This is the coolest one. And it was also the very first story that we covered today. Tomorrow is Strange Paradigms at 3 p.m. PST, where I cover all the strange weekly news and mysterious headlines from around the world. So definitely hit the notification bell on YouTube, as it will be live. Also, I want to remind everyone that the conversation always continues after the show on my Discord live chat server. Make sure to join me and over 900 other members. Thank you if you haven't already. And the link is in the description box below, and I will also place it in the live chat as well. I want to wish you all a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Please like this video before you head out. I'll see you tomorrow. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.